But it is 2026.
What is a big lesson that you learned last year?
All these people are bringing problems to you, and there's a bottleneck at the top.
You just can't let your feelings be the Lord of your life.
God, why am I here?
I still found myself kind of like, is this it?
You made it pretty difficult for me to ask you out. Do you remember that?
People were not afraid to be cringy.
I went to school for criminal justice. That's what I thought I was going to do.
Discernment is the difference between knowing right from almost right.
I've been locked out of the house and had to sit on the porch one day.
No, you didn't.
Because, well, welcome to today's episode of the SIA podcast. We're so excited that you guys are joining us today for another episode. Today, we're going to talk about life, leadership, 2025, what we look forward to in 2026. We're going to talk about fashion trends in 2016. As we recall back to the good old days, some would say. Well, I'm here today with my favorite podcaster in the entire world.
Oh my goodness.
She's also the partner that God so graciously gave me, my better half. Jessica McKinley, everybody.
Yes. Hi, everybody.
Woo.
Stoked to be back. I was gone for 6 months. We had our baby in August, and he is now 5 months old. So he's super cute. His name's Beckham McKinley, and he's just a cutie guy. So
yeah. Fun fact. We were in the hospital just giving birth, and we're just going right off the bat, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And we were trying to figure out middle names.
Yes.
Remember this?
Yeah.
And so we're like, man, what is a good middle name for this guy? And so I went to the good old Chat GPT and I typed in
Isn't that crazy? You have to
descriptors.
tell your kid.
I know.
This is how I figured out your name. I had a Chat GPT.
And he's laying there in his crib or in his like little bassinet at the hospital. He's about a day and a half old at this point.
Yeah.
And they need to fill out the birth certificate. We need to fill out the birth certificate. And we were like, we don't have a middle name. So I typed in like he's calm, chill. I laid out all these descriptors. Cool, collected. Yeah. And then it gave me like a bunch of different names. And then out of those names, we
picked Callum. Okay, yeah. So I will say we were going to have the middle name Douglas because it's Stephen's middle name. But then Stephen's dad is also named Douglas.
Yep.
But then we also want to honor Pastor Doug. So, strong name. But I don't know. When I heard the name Callum, I was like, I just feel like that's this little boy right here. He's so calm. He's so chill.
So calm.
Like, he had just given birth or whatever, and he's on me. And then they had to go take him away to like measure him and do his whole thing. And he did not cry.
He's laid there.
And I remember like with Lenny, she was crying. She was so upset that she was away from me. But he was just like, I think he was just happy under the lamp. I don't know.
He was. He wanted to make a debut 11 days early.
Yeah.
Lenny kind of got evicted. She wasn't ready
get
to
out.
To
but
enter
yeah.
yet, but.
So anyways, when I heard the name Callum, I was like, oh, I love that. Beckham, Callum, McKinley.
Yeah.
That just sounds like very posh.
So that's where Jess has been raising Beck.
Yes.
And that's what we call him. And it's been a great time. And then by the way, happy 2026. I feel like I'm just filming this out of order, but it is 2026. And we've been joking around. I feel like our 2026 started a few weeks late because
it did, because I was recovering from RSV, which funny fact, which is not funny, but it's interesting. Adults don't usually catch RSV. So my immune system must have just been so bad.
Yeah.
And I got my kids sick, unfortunately. So we've been all recovering. So 2026 is going to start on Monday for us.
So here we are.
We're 2 weeks into the year, but we're starting on Monday. So
yeah. And I'm just the Lord's favored one. Because out of everybody in the house, I didn't get sick. No, I'm just totally kidding.
Because you're not supposed to catch it, but
yeah. So praise God, I didn't get sick, but everybody else in the family did. So we're recovering, or you guys are all recovering, which is awesome.
Yes, feeling much better. So
yeah, and at the time of this recording, 2016 has become a trend.
Yes.
Like people were calling back to the year 2016.
Yes.
And
so it's calling 2026 is the new 2016.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to see. So okay, do you have any fun fact or fun memories from 2016?
Dude, 2016, as I was like kind of thinking back on this, looking back at pictures and trends and whatnot, 2016, I wore very tight
Skinny jeans. Yeah.
I actually have a nickname. Pastor Doug used to call me Skinny Jeans, and his ministry would all call me Skinny Jeans. And then
So
I had to
funny.
like move with the times. Although I know it's not really like people look back at Skinny Jeans like what was that? I actually
Honestly,
liked them. I
Steve,
think they're
I really
super
feel like
cool.
you can rock it. There's not a lot of people I can say that about, but I don't know. It's your physique or something. I genuinely feel like it didn't feel weird when you came into the room with skinny jeans.
It was awesome. I loved
yeah.
it. You had bomber jackets. I remember that. But 2016 was the year we started dating.
Yeah.
We went on our first
So-
date,
it
started
was so
dating.
fun.
I asked you out, and you made it pretty difficult for me to ask you out. Do you remember that?
Like honestly, sometimes, but I don't know what I've like. Just
So
blocked
you
out.
were in college.
Yeah.
We were
Mhm.
both in college,
Yeah.
and I wanted to take you out to dinner.
Yes.
And
Oh yeah.
this is like
yeah.
to make it official.
Yeah.
And I wanted to take you out to dinner, and it was just met with like,
Well,
no, I have to study,
I-
or I can't leave. I got finals coming up. I'm like, dude, what? Who studies this hard? Like,
I
you should be
actually
going out on the
really
weekend.
enjoy studying. Honestly, I actually do. So it probably was an excuse, but it probably was like valid.
Do
'cause
you
I
remember
love it.
this?
I do.
So
I
then I
just-
had to bring the date to
I know.
you
I
at
think I
your
was
house.
just trying to like feel the water out. I was trying to see like I don't know. I don't want to like be like how do I explain this? Like I don't want to be too official and then be like find something out about you and I'm like I don't like that. Like I wanted it to just kind of like
so there was like I'm learning this now. 10 years. Thank you for the trend. I'm learning more about my relationship right now.
No. I just wanted to take it slow, but I don't know why going on a date just felt so like it's official. Like they're dating. I don't know. I was like, I need to chill. I feel a little bit. I just want to get to know him. So
And sure enough, we got to know each other.
Yeah.
But you were at your parents' house, and you're still living
Yes.
at home. And so
when you asked me,
when I asked you
I
out,
see.
we went
Yes.
to so what had happened was I kept being met with like, no, I can't leave. So I was like, dude, all right, we're gonna do this thing. So I went to your house. Jess has like her parents at the time had a massive yard, and it was
Yeah.
kind of like broken off. Like the pool is like the front half, and
Yeah.
then like a massive
like
rock
thing.
wall
Yeah.
for the pool, and then behind is like another backyard. And so I had our friends come, and they set up like this whole
Like
all these
picnic.
blankets
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff,
very
and it was like,
cute.
will you be my girlfriend? And
Very
then
sweet.
I had a photographer in the.
Yeah.
I remember him. He was hiding in hay. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
In the backyard
remember
trying
why
to
we
take
had hay
pictures.
back
This is-
there.
you look back, you're like, what? I don't know. That was.
I don't know why we were
That
doing
was cool.
that.
So I remember that in 2016.
That was sweet.
That was special.
Yeah, that was sweet. I love that year. Honestly, it's really cool online. A bunch of influencers are posting all of their favorite like recaps, and I'm just remembering, I'm like, wow, Instagram used to be so pretty. Like it was so like appealing to the eye. I think like that trend kind of faded over the last 10 years because it wasn't always super authentic. So I think people were like, that is fake. Like we need to
Yeah.
be more authentic, which is totally cool. But if you could just appreciate 2016 for what it was, like influencers were just so good at the picture taking, like the colors, the like facial expressions, they were just so good. And I was like thinking about this, I was like, why is everyone like reminiscing on this year? Like why is it so just at the top of everyone's like favorites years? And I was like, I think a part of it is people were not afraid to be cringy. And I think nowadays we're so caught up with like, I just don't want to be cringy. I don't want to be embarrassing. And I just think back then people just really didn't care. Like
True.
they were just posting what it felt of like very casually posting, which I was like, I like loved that vibe. Like nobody, like everyone was trying hard, but it wasn't embarrassing to try hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
Now
was like,
you do that same thing.
yeah,
And
and it's embarrassing.
embarrassing.
I think people are like embarrassed about that. So I was like, you know what? I feel like this year we gotta adapt a little bit. Like we gotta stop being embarrassed over like weird things. Like we gotta just chill.
Chill. It's not that serious.
It's not that serious, yeah. So or just let people be who they are. I think like I don't know. Sometimes I'll post something and I'm like, is this cringy if I post it? And I'm like, why do I care? It's my Instagram, so I really shouldn't care about what people think.
So you think that's why people are looking back at the year 2016? Granted, it was 10 years ago too. We're in 2026.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
I think
but
so.
you think
I
that
think a part of it. I think a part of it
nostalgia
is
piece?
it's nostalgia is always gonna sell. I
Yeah.
think that's why Taylor Swift like sells so hard is because there's a hint of like high school, college, like your formative years. So nostalgia is always gonna sell, like in my opinion. But yeah, I think people just weren't afraid to like be themselves and be cringy or be a little embarrassing because the fruit of it, like the result was always amazing. Like you came out with great projects, and the
That's a good
music
thought.
was just also top tier
That's a
in my
great thought.
opinion. It was so good.
I love that.
So
I love that it's trending. It's just kind of out of nowhere. I
Yeah.
just randomly went on my phone one day. I'm like, why are people posting these
well,
pictures?
you know what? For like on TikTok, I've always seen like a lot of people have always referenced this year, like 2016. I don't know why. Like they've always been like things have just never hit the same after 2016. I've always been like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Like I was a junior, sophomore in college. Like things just were so low pressure back then. And I just think people like to think back of like the music and that
Mhm.
time. And yeah, I think it was just a simpler time in our minds.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of music,
Yes.
Justin Bieber put out some really good music in
Yeah.
2016.
yeah. So
There was I was going down as I was just looking at this trend. I was like, what music came out in 2016? There's a lot of
for sure, Chainsmokers, they're killing it. Everyone was just firing on all four cylinders. It was great.
all four,
So all four.
not two,
No,
four.
definitely,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a top hit. But anyways, so I wanted to talk to you, Steve, too, today. Like as we're reflecting and reminiscing of 2016, what is a big lesson that you learned last year? I think we have sometimes a habit of just being like, all right, on to the next, on to the new, and we don't look back and be like, oh,
really
like
good.
what are the life lessons that God taught me
It's really
during that year? So
I would say one of the lessons. It was actually super fun. I feel like some people know this story, but we went to the beach
yeah.
for your birthday.
hmm
And Lenny had just gotten this like Jeep that we steer or we control, I guess. It's a battery powered Jeep, and she
Yeah.
just sits in it and vibes out. And it was super fun. We decided to take it to the beach for your birthday, and it was there. We ran into a guy
Yeah.
that we met, and it was just like a instant connection. It was super awesome. But I think a lesson that I learned as I look back on that year, and I feel like there's so many lessons I learned, but I think it's like being aware of where God has you, and like you never know who you could run into, who you can meet, the purpose and why you're in that season of life or why you're in that place. It was a
Yeah.
random Tuesday morning. We're at the beach and we run into this guy from the other side of the country.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is cool, but I think something else that I really like admire about you is just I was listening to a podcast and I don't remember who this was, so she gets credit. I don't remember, but she was talking about like one of the most impactful advice that she's been given throughout her life, and she said one of the best advice she's been given is to always be where your feet are planted.
That's good.
And I think that like you're such a good representation of that because I feel like you're very present like wherever you're at. I've never seen you try to rush something or try to be in a different place than where God has placed you. And when you tell me that story, I think it's so cool because that's exactly what you were doing. You're just being where you were. You were striking up conversations with the people around you. And it's just cool because I think that's really how God wants us to live, is to be where we're at and not
good.
to worry about the future. Maybe start planning, maybe have like a dream or a vision of where you want to go, but also to be planted and be firm like where you're at. So I feel like God is.
Yeah, that's
really-
good. You said it so well. Like just being planted where you are. I think so much of our life is just
Yeah. Like we're thinking about
either
the
in the
future.
back, like looking back or looking ahead, but not very present right here in the moment. So I would say that was for sure like a lesson where I walked away. It encouraged my faith. It actually is the reason why I got to go travel and
Yeah.
attend a conference, and God spoke to me a lot at that conference. So, but it was like because of being there, like at that time, in that moment, being aware of the surroundings. This is why I tell people all the time in our ministry, like,
Yeah.
dude, if you're not here one Thursday,
Yeah.
you don't know you don't know who you're going to meet, what
Yeah.
God's going to do. That's why I tell you, be here every single Thursday, because your future wife, you hear that? Your future wife might be in the service that Thursday.
you were talking to Noah. I was
Noah's behind the camera. I'm not talking to him, but maybe. But just in general, or like your future husband
for
might
sure.
be in the room. You just don't know.
Yeah.
And you see it all the time. Like, oh, I wish so-and-so was here, because that would have been a great connection. I'm talking
Yeah,
like friendship wise.
For sure. For sure.
Or whatnot. So I think for sure being planted where God has you, where you are, practically speaking, like being aware, like not so focused on yourself,
Yeah.
but like having your eyes open to like, God, why am I here?
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you trying to do with me here in this very moment? Why am I in this service, or why
Yeah.
am I at this job, or what's happening that you need me here in this moment?
Yeah.
So I would say that's for sure a lesson. And then I would say another lesson that I learned in regards to like leadership was because I think for you and I, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of what we talk about in our house, it's in ministry, is leadership.
Yeah.
We love leadership. We really want to get better as leaders, but we want to grow our leadership team. We want to grow the people around us, because God doesn't want us to just
Mm-hmm.
look back 10 years from now, we're the same exact person.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, that's what's cool about 2016. You look back, you're like, whoa, that's how we dressed. That's what we did. And then you're like, dude, we spent so much, you just said earlier, like, we spent so much time in like LA and with friends, and that was a great season of
Yeah.
life. And then here we are in a different season of life 10 years later. So I do think that there's something like cool about looking back, but being present. And I think another lesson, leadership wise, that I learned was our ministry's grown over the
Yeah.
last couple of years.
It's really sweet.
And it's been really cool to see what God has been doing. But even as we've grown, changes need to be made.
Yeah.
And so I think another lesson is like, how it used to run was like, hey, I lead this, and then we all like, obviously we're very much a team,
Yeah.
but everyone would bring everything to me, or I would meet with a ton of people, and we're out at lunches, dinners, you name it. And then as the ministry grows, it's like there's more people to be cared for, there's more people to be discipled. And so I
Yeah.
think a lesson that I knew, but I feel like I put into action really starting last year into
Yeah.
this year, was we need to raise up a team of people that can really be there to support and care and come alongside us. I think, we quote it all the time, but like Moses and Jethro. Jethro is Moses' father-in-law. Moses is leading God's
Yeah.
people. And he's like, hey, what you're doing is not good.
Mm.
Why isn't it good? Because all these people are bringing problems to you, and there's a bottleneck at the top. And I think that's a very much a leadership lesson that God taught me, is like, hey, it can't all be funneled through me, because there's going to be a bottleneck, as there's 500 people lately in our ministry, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But you need a team.
For sure.
So I would say that's another leadership lesson that God had taught me. What about you?
I think piggybacking off of what you were saying, I think, yeah, because as your wife, I hang out with you, and I'm with you almost every single day we hang out at
Let's
some
go.
point. So it's awesome. But I could just see like it's not a weight, because it's not bad, but I could just see the intentional care that you want to provide as one person. It was just too much. Like I could just
Yeah.
tell like things were not on purpose, but just because of how much the ministry has grown, we're
Yeah.
slipping through the cracks. And it's like, I didn't feel comfortable as your wife being like, oh man, we dropped the ball there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we need somebody to like, keeping tabs is probably not the right word, but just somebody that could really help
God care, yeah.
with the care. So, yeah, I think for me, I was like noticing that, and I remember talking to you about it. It's like, we really need to raise a team that can help with the care piece.
Yeah.
Because we do need someone to be checking up on, people that are going through hard struggles or going through sin. And sometimes it would be you, but it like once you have like 20, 30, 40 people that you're trying to like,
Yeah.
follow up with, making sure that they're being accountable, making sure
Mhm.
that they're being discipled. It was just, it was getting a lot. And it was even people outside of the small group that you lead.
Mhm.
So it's like, you already have your small group. Now you have the people that are leading the
Yeah.
ministry with you. Then you have the people that are coming to the ministry.
Yeah.
It's just a lot.
It's
So
a lot.
I'm thankful that, God has allowed you to lead in that way. And
Mhm.
I'm really excited to see the fruit of what that brings this year.
But I think it's so cool how like God is so gracious, and he kind of opens up our eyes in
Yeah.
like different, we use this word a lot, but like seasons of life or chapters in our lives, where it's
Yeah.
like, hey, this is what I want you to focus on, this is what I want you to do, or this is how I want you to live out. And that's obviously
Yeah.
not only in a ministry context as a ministry leader, but that's also in our own lives
sure.
as well. Like,
Yeah. Like, well, there's things that you can delegate out to
Yeah.
others, and you could do that in your professional work, or even like at home, when you're married with someone or a roommate with someone, just splitting up tasks and stuff.
yeah,
But I think another lesson God taught me, it was at the end of 2025. I love being a mom. It is the best thing that I get to do all day. I don't even say that lightly. Like, I love it a lot. And I think a lot of it though is, as I've transitioned a lot throughout these last couple years, I was single, we got married, we had kids, I'm working. Like there's been a lot of transitions, but I have loved just how consistent God has been with me through everything. But I did find myself like at the end of like 25, maybe like around the fall, we had just had Beck, and then I went back to work.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, okay, now I'm really juggling a lot of things because I have work on top of taking care of my babies. There's 2 of them.
Yeah.
My husband works full time. So I'm like trying to juggle a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And, something that I've been very confident in is I know my identity lies within Christ. And I know that he's the person that gives me worth, and he's the person that I find satisfaction and fulfillment in. But I also felt like, I was like, but what is like my purpose? Like I still have purpose in this life, even though my identity is linked back to Christ. So I remember like praying about that and just like wrestling with it, because I was like, I know my purpose is to be a mom. Like I love it, but I'm like, but I also have these gifts and these talents that God has given me that, I'm luckily able to use them at work. Working in an accounting department, but I still found myself kind of like, is this it? Like, is there nothing? Am I just going to be, not just, but, am I like mom? And then I just have this skill set that I use at work. And I was listening to a John Mark Comer's book called Garden City. And it was so funny because I had bought it when like we hung out with Damien at the beginning of the year. So it had been months. And then I like finally read through it, and it was just so wild how it was answering every question I had been having since I had Beckham. And I was like, wow, God, like your timing was just crazy. But the book was basically talking about how each one of us are created with gifts and we all have a purpose. Some of us get to use it vocationally, and we should love doing it vocationally. But he did bring up a really good challenge of, but if you're not using your gifts vocationally, if you're not using your gifting, if you're not enjoying going to work, like you should pray about switching that. You should pray about going into a career where you love your job because it matches your skill set and you're passionate about it, which, usually you hear the opposite of like, don't follow your dreams. So it was like a really good balance. But during that time, I just started praying and really asking the Lord, like, okay, God, why do you have Jessica McKinley here on earth? Like, yes, I'm a mom and I have my kids, and yes, I work in this department, and yes, I go to church and I serve in this way, but like, what are the skill sets that you've given me that I'm passionate about?
Really good.
And I genuinely feel like God like just showed me. It was crazy, dude. I think I told you this.
I remember this.
I remember telling you, I was like, Steve, I really feel like God's put me on this earth to like bring clarity and truth into this world.
Yeah.
Like I can't describe it, but I've always been very good about like helping people like almost like remove the fog of things and just see very clearly like what things are and the truth and bring it back to scripture. So I had that thought. Literally the next Sunday. Yes, the next Sunday. I'm in the green room with my 2 kids and it's wild. And I see Pastor Chuck and he stops me and he's like, Jessica, I had a dream about you. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I need to listen because this could either be like, I don't know, I'm going to die next week, or it could be like a word from the Lord.
That's a crazy spectrum of.
Yes, I know. It could go either way. So I was like, oh my gosh, yes, Pastor Chuck, like, what was your dream about? And he's like, I had a dream that you, like, I guess he was saying it was like really confusing and chaotic in the back somewhere, in like in the green room or something, and he had to go up on stage and like everything was so chaotic and confusing. He's like, guys, I'm trying to get over there, and then people were helping him but they weren't working. I don't know what was happening. And he's like, and then all of a sudden you came in and all of the chaos and all of the confusions around me, you like cleared everything and you allowed me to go up on stage. He's like, isn't that so funny? And I was like, dude, he doesn't know what I've been like talking about with the Lord, about how I genuinely feel like I'm put on, my reason for being put on earth. And I was like, that's so funny, Pastor Chuck. So
crazy.
Anyways, all that to say.
Crazy how God works.
Oh, it's,
He like confirmed it the next day.
Yeah. Like a couple of days later. But I was just like, it was cool because a lot of times I was like, God, is this you? Or am I just making up stuff in my head? But to hear like, I love our senior pastor, but to hear him be like, and he doesn't even know this. I think that's what's so funny. Like he doesn't, like we hang out, but not like that. Like he doesn't know my skill set like that. But to have God affirm something like that from another person, someone that I admire, respect, in such a random way, like a dream, to tell me like, yes, Jess, this is why I've put you on earth. Like you are a
It's
mom
really good.
and you work in this department and you are, Stephen McKinley is your husband, but I've specifically put you on this earth to spread truth and to speak truth and to bring clarity where there's so much confusion, because there's so much confusion in this world.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it felt
really
like a
cool.
hug from the Lord of
Awesome.
like, hey, you can use all these skill sets being a mom. You can, and I think that's why I love being in accounting, because it's so convoluted. And usually when I tell people that, they're always like, oh wow, like it's always like met with like, that's a crazy job. But I genuinely love it. I love like bringing all these abstract thoughts and confusing things and then just making it simple
Bringing
for people
clarity,
to
yeah.
understand. So
That's really awesome.
anyways, all that to say, I think identity things we're always going to struggle with them because we're going through so much transition in our lives. But as long as we go back to scripture and we find our identity in him, like I know God was going to reveal our purpose through every season. So
It's good. I think I want to hit on something that you talked about, that there's so many different ways that God speaks. And it's cool from your story, like God spoke to you in a dream. So that's one of the ways that God speaks to us. God spoke to you through a person and like
Yeah.
confirmed it through a person, Pastor Chuck. And then he obviously speaks through his word. He speaks through prayer. He speaks through just different avenues.
yeah,
And it's like, it's very cool. But I'm thinking of the person who's watching this right now, who's maybe wrestling with the same thoughts that you were, of like, hey, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Why am I at this job that I don't really care about? Or what should I be doing with my career? And I think it's like, listen to what the people around you are saying. So like, what is God saying first and foremost? But then what are the people around you saying?
yeah,
Because if you're like, man, I really feel like I'm called to do X, whatever and everybody else is like, yeah, I don't think you'd be very good at that, right? Like, yeah, then maybe
Yeah.
that's like a passion of yours, but that's not really your skill set.
yeah,
Like I think for me,
sure.
like I went to school for criminal justice. That's what I thought I was gonna do.
yeah,
And then as I'm just like living life, I'm like, that's awesome, kind of passionate about that, but at the same time, not very good.
yeah,
Like I feel like I'd pull somebody over and be like, no, I'll get
I
no
totally
ticket,
see.
you're good. And I'm just like talking to people as and then I realized that I don't think that's where God has me.
yeah,
And I think people around you are like, they're nice and they don't always say it, but you kind of like catch
yeah.
looks and you're like, I don't think that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I love that, because sometimes like we could get in our head about it. Like, is this from the Lord? I don't know. But yeah, listening to people around you and like
Yeah.
hearing what they have to say. And if you're hearing the same like repetition over and over, it's a good indication. Oh, maybe the Lord is leading me in this direction.
That's good.
So-
Really good.
But okay, so we kind of talked about last year. Is there anything amazing that happened at SIA that last year that you're like, oh my gosh, I loved that Thursday. Like that Thursday, the Lord
man.
moved.
Dude, I feel like that's like a lot of my Thursdays.
Yes.
Almost every Thursday. So like as you're asking that right now, I'm like
'Cause
kind of recalling
I'm
back to all of the
thinking
different
The night that Kai and
services.
Casey came
Oh, dude,
was top.
that was
amazing.
guys, that night was just like crazy. And just like in the room.
Okay, in the room, but outside of the room
Outside the room.
Because people don't know this. At that point in time, was coming to SIA from like 6:30, and I would leave around 8 o'clock because I have my babies. So, and then I would go home and put Lenny to sleep. At night, it's Steve usually like goes to SIA and then goes out to In-N-Out. And I'll probably see Steve around like 12, no, like 11, 11:30. Anything past that, I'm like, oh wow, he got crazy deep conversation, and I'll fall asleep because I'm not going to stay up for this man. So, anyways.
Hey, that's true. I've been locked out of the house and had to sit on the porch one day
No, you didn't.
because she was asleep. Not from the sea night. I got home late from hanging out, and
Oh
I
my
just had to sit on the couch because I didn't have a key.
Wait. Okay,
Do
yeah.
you remember this? I'm
Yes.
ringing the doorbell, and Lenny's in
Wait,
her room
yes.
waking up. But
Oh my gosh, yes. I don't remember what happened. Was that a SIA night too?
no, that was just
Oh man.
we were at a baseball game,
Oh yes.
and I got home late.
I felt so bad, but I fell asleep. Anyways, okay. So so that's usually SIA. So but I wake up at like 1 a.m. and he's not home. And I'm like, oh no, like, is he okay? Like, did he get kidnapped? Like,
Do you
so-
think she checks her phone? Nah, I don't think so. I'm just kidding.
oh gosh. So then okay, so then finally like he comes home at like 1:30. And I'm like, dude, like what happened? So then I'll let Steve
Yeah. So that night, Kai Casey, they spoke, and obviously we love them. They're like a brother and sister to us, and we our other Keanu was in
Yeah.
town, and our it was just like
It was
an
great.
autumn,
It
like
was
it was just an
awesome.
incredible
Good hang.
night, and we're like, dude, let's not have the night end. Like, let's go to In-N-Out, let's hang out. So, we're walking on our cars, and while we're getting to our cars, there's people huddled around this one car, and everybody's like, hey, you know whose car this is? And let me go backtrack
No,
for
no,
a
no.
second,
I think
because
don't reveal it. Don't reveal it yet. I think you should just tell the story before you reveal.
okay,
Okay.
so we go to the car, and you hear like this, like a bunch of commotion, and then I see people jack it, like this car is now jacked up and like off the floor, and you're like, I'm thinking, what is happening? So we're like with like Kai, Casey, who like they're not at sea on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
This is like one of their first encounters, and we're just a group of, there's like 10 of us walking, and I'm like, turn to the group of people that's underneath this jacked up car. I'm like, hey, you guys know whose car this is? They're like, no. I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, there's a cat stuck in the car.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
a cat is stuck in the car. And then I start to hear like meowing. And it's like meow, meow. And it's like, it's intensifying. And so I'm like, guys, if we don't know whose car this is, you can't just be jacking up somebody's car. Like, we don't know whose it is. And they were like, well, we announced it earlier and nobody answered and we don't know whose it is. So like they went on the loudspeaker during after the service. And so I'm like, guys, take the car down. So I walk over to the windshield and there's a piece of paper and it's like, there's a cat stuck in your engine or something like that. And I'm like, all right, well, we got to figure out whose car this is. And then, I'm there for like 10, 15 minutes. And then I realized, wait, I think I know whose car this is. I think this is John Allen's car. And John is our worship pastor. And sure enough, his wife had just given birth to their daughter, their first daughter.
So they had left the
first
car
child.
there because I think she had to go to the hospital and they didn't realize they were going to come back.
Yeah.
Something like that had happened.
So after the car's been jacked up, it gets lowered. It dawns on me as I'm seeing like the license plate and whatever. I'm like, I think this is John's car. So I give John a call, and I'm like, hey, dude, and he didn't answer actually. And so I call his mom, and she answers, and then she's like, hey, is everything all right? Because it's super late at night
for
at this
sure.
point.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry to call, but I think there's a cat stuck in John's car. And she's like, what? So then John calls me a few minutes later, and mind you, like he's up with a newborn, like you don't get a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
And he's just like, dude, did I leave my car unlocked? And I'm like, because I said there's a cat stuck in your car, and he thought, he's like, I got to get that thing deep cleaned. And I'm like, no, it's like stuck underneath your car, like in the engine. And long story short, there was indeed a cat that got lodged underneath. We were able to eventually get the keys. I thought it was like in the engine, so I got his keys, opened up the hood. It wasn't there. It was underneath, and there's a group of people who stayed the whole time. That cat ended up getting picked up at about 1 a.m. And then after that, he stayed at somebody's house, I think, for a few days, someone on our team, and then he got adopted.
Yeah.
And now he's
And
still
now
with
the
that
cat
family.
has an Instagram.
And now the
so
cat has an
I follow
Instagram.
the cat on Instagram just to keep tabs, make
And
sure
it's named
Slami.
Slami.
So and there you
Yeah.
go. But anyways,
That was a crazy
so
night.
Steve is telling me this story at like 1:30 in the morning. And I'm like, bro, I can't do this right now. I'll talk to you in the morning and we could talk about what happened.
Dude,
Well, okay. What are some things, starting a new year, new me vibes, and this year's gonna be awesome.
yeah.
What can we do this year so that it doesn't look like
That's
last
good.
year?
Yeah, I feel like I've hit on this a lot. Just because at the start of a new year, everybody's like, people are back in church, which by the way is awesome. The gyms, you know what happens at the gym? They put out a whole lot of equipment in January, and then they take it away because February, March, April, people stop going. They're like, oh, all good. And so you think about a new year, and people have high expectation. But if we want a different outcome in 2026, we need to do something differently.
Yeah.
And things need to look different. And so I would say, like, if you're listening to this right now and you haven't come to church, start coming to church. You're going to get a different outcome for your life. If in 2025 you were like sporadic and somewhat consistent, start showing up on a weekly basis and you're going to see God do incredible things. If you're like, I read my Bible occasionally. No, start reading your Bible on a weekly basis. So I think I've been really living with that mentality of like, how do I want 2026 to be different than 2025? I don't want to get to the end of 26 and it looks the same way. And so something that God had put on my heart, and Pastor Chuck actually this year he challenged us to pray for a word. We typically don't do that. I've never done that. Have you
Yeah,
ever?
I never done that. This is the
Yeah.
first year I actually got a word. So,
And so I got a word, and my word is discipline. And I was like, all right, what does that even mean? What do you want me to do discipline wise? And then I woke up after getting my word, and I couldn't turn my neck. And you remember this? And I was like in such pain. I'm trying to drive, and I can't even turn to see if like someone's in my blind spot.
oh
So
my
I'm
gosh.
realizing discipline in actually stretching and working out, because
There you go.
I need to do that. But another discipline is like I'm used to reading my Bible, but I never really journal.
I know, and I've been telling you for years.
For years.
I'm
Jess
like,
has gotten me
dude,
so many
I
journals. We
caught
probably
you-
spent like thousands
Yes.
of dollars on journals. No
Yes.
joke. And I don't know where they all go.
Because I'm a big journaling advocate. I feel like if you can get your thoughts on a paper,
Mhm.
I don't know what psychologically happens, but it's almost like it makes you feel better. But also, when you're writing out
You
your
remember.
prayers, you could just remember things. I honestly feel like that's why I have a good memory,
Yeah.
because I just journal all my stuff.
Yeah, what was that statistic? It was like if you're in
Oh,
service,
yeah.
if you're in service and you just listen, you hear 2%, or
Something
you
like
retain 2%.
2%, yeah.
But then
Yeah.
if you actually take notes, it jumps up to like a crazy percentage, like
Yeah.
30, 40%.
Something wild. Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
you're like, whoa. And it's all a matter of taking notes,
Yeah.
because you could remember and recall back.
Mhm.
And so something I started doing is noting or taking notes every single day I
Yeah.
read. So I'll journal, or like I do like the SOAP method. And so I'll read scripture, do like observations of like what sticks out to me, and then how do I apply it, and then I pray.
Mm.
And that's been really cool. So my goal is to look back in the end of 26 and be like, oh, I remember that day.
Yeah.
And I'll call out just like some random things that we had, like the kids are sick, or perfectly no more of that.
I know. I can't do it.
Our prayer, John actually inspired me. We started praying over the kids every night, and we do that all the time, but started praying that sickness would grow legs and run.
Mhm.
John had prayed that for something in our prayer nights, and so I started praying that over the kids.
That's cool.
So I remember writing that down, but just random things that I could look back on and be like, hey, I remember that. Or I remember having that conversation with Jess or my parents or our friends, or that night we had, I don't know, whatever like stood out to me from that day.
Mm.
So I could look back in a year and be like, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Something else that really has inspired me. I think it's from John Maxwell, who's like a leadership guy. And I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about leadership and growing as a leader, and they had challenged, and I don't remember like the whole preface of it, but basically looking back at your year, like assessing your year in photos.
Mm.
And so like you kind of look back in your photos or
That's cool.
your pictures, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I remember that. And you could get like determine like a lot of the highs, because it's usually what you're taking pictures
Yeah,
of, and you could
for
remember
sure.
like what you cared about and what brought you joy. And maybe you have some pictures of you sad, and maybe you can remember that moment.
Yeah.
But typically you are only getting
I don't know,
like
dude.
the
Sometimes
the
on
hi-
TikTok, girls just record themselves crying, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I just feel like this is an intimate space. Like, I should not be here right now. I'm like, okay. Anyways, yeah, be authentic online. No shade.
Yeah.
That was just something I was thinking about the other day. That's cool.
Yeah, so
That's
that's been so I've been looking at. So I've been trying to be intentional in like what photos am I taking too, so I could look back in a year and be like, oh,
That's cool.
dude, I remember that, because I had this dream to take pictures of the kids every single day, so that you
You
could
did?
look back and be like, whoa, this is awesome. And
Oh,
then
we should probably make that happen then.
yeah, but we're like 2.5 years late to the game.
It's all good. We can.
But I have a lot of pictures of the
Yeah.
kids for sure. Something we started doing as a family, which has been really cool. Do you want to tell them?
No, because I don't know. We've done a lot of things as a family.
Well,
Which one?
with photo, in regards to photos.
Oh, yes. So I'm going to start making actual photo albums, because I have this realization of like, if the cloud ever disappears for a bad reason, or the internet goes out, I don't have any physical pictures of our family.
Yeah.
So I started printing everything. I'll do it at the end of the year, like that last week where
Yeah.
we don't know what we're doing.
So cool.
And then I'll just get all those pictures printed and put them in a photo album.
So you got like
for-
people we love on there, people we did spent a lot of time with, a lot of church, but it's really cool to look back and even like years later.
Yeah.
My goal is to look back and be like, do you remember that? And we
Yeah.
can just kind of reminisce. And so I'm pumped. But what's crazy about that one too is I was on Instagram, and so, this ad popped up of that, like
Oh,
putting
yeah.
a photo album together,
Yeah.
whatever. And I never told you. And then you're
No,
like, dude,
yeah.
I have this idea. I want to do like a photo album. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy.
Our algorithms,
Like,
they're just
synced.
yeah.
Our
Like
minds
we're
think a
gonna
lot
market
alike
them
and
the
just,
same way.
it's
So that
crazy.
yeah, and they won because we bought it.
So,
So
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, the pricing on that thing was
yeah, it was wild, but it was
crazy.
worth it. It'll be worth it when the kids can see
so
themselves.
super
in a
cool.
couple
So
years.
those are just some things that for 2026 I've been implementing and
Very
trying to do.
cool.
What about you?
I think a big thing that because I was thinking about because I've been walking with the Lord now 10 years. So I gave my life to Jesus in 2015. Yeah, that's just crazy.
2015?
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh, no, you guys,
No.
that's 15 years. Oh my
No,
gosh,
no.
I'm old. Wait, no.
20.
When I was 15.
Yeah.
So what year was that? 2010? Where are we?
We're 26. So 2011, 2010, 2011?
Wow. Okay, yeah. So 15 years. So sorry, my math is so off. So I've just been thinking like, okay, God, like how, because when I made the decision to follow Jesus, not like I was always like consistent. Like I've had, different slip ups or places where I've had to repent and come back to the Lord. But I was trying to think of like the whole journey as like an overall picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I really felt like the Lord was showing me how we get so much more result when we take responsibility and accountability for our walk
Really good.
instead of leaning on someone else or leaning on circumstances or sometimes even convenience
Yeah.
or a feeling to push us into our next
Mm-hmm.
like season with the Lord. And I just really felt like in order to make this year different than last year, I just need to be responsible for my walk with the Lord. Like
That's good. That's a
I
word.
think when I read scripture, you could just tell through all the pages, through the way that God expresses his love for humanity or Jesus expresses why his mission is on earth, like how he wants to be close with us and he wants that relationship with us. But it's like any boyfriend girlfriend relationship, any friendship, like it can't be one-sided. It needs
Yeah.
to go both ways.
Mhm.
So sorry, we both need to like take the responsibility to actually study the word, to actually understand who
Yeah, that's
God
really
is
good.
and let that shape our actions. We live in like such a cool day and age where like we have Chat GPT, which is like insane how much information it could give you. So I don't think it's a lack of information anymore. Like I think if you want information, you can find it on the internet so easily. I think now it's the heart. Like our heart needs to long to be with the Lord. In order for this year to look different than last year, we really have to get our heart aligned and just want to be in the things of the Lord and
Yeah.
want to learn more about him so that our lives could be changed, so that our lives look more like his. So I think that's something that this year,
It's really good.
every year I'm trying to get closer to the Lord, but especially, where I'm trying to balance and find a rhythm with a lot of different blessings that God has given me. So I just want to make sure that, I'm doing
good.
my part to be as close to God as I possibly can
Yeah.
and not getting too distracted or getting too sidetracked on things that are not worth the time.
Yeah.
Like, when you think about like Mary and Martha, like I read this quote again, I don't know who said it, but they were saying discernment is the difference between knowing right from almost right.
That's good.
And it's like, when you think about Mary and Martha, they were both doing great things. Like one was serving and one was listening to Jesus. But like Mary knew the one that was right and Martha knew the one that was almost
right.
right. And it's like having the discernment to be like, okay, right now, yes, I need to do this whole list. I need to serve my family. I need to study. I need to whatever it is. But also like I need to make sure that I'm spending my time with my God and that he is really the person that's funneling me. So I think that's something that I'm going to carry into this
really good.
year. Like I just want to, that closeness with the Lord. I don't want it to be replaced with like friends, you, our kids. Like I really want it to be Jesus and make sure that I'm just so close to him that when people criticize or people have opinions or I don't know, I'm in my head with my own critiques. Like I'm not sidetracked. I'm like, no, I'm spending time with
really
my
good.
God. So I think that's how this year is going to be different.
Great. What would you say to somebody who's there that they're like looking at 2026? We're a couple weeks in because of sickness, but our year's starting Monday. Come on now.
Yeah.
Praise God for that. I can't wait. We've been
Yeah. We're
waiting, dude.
buckling down.
We're itching to
Yeah.
get out of the house, and now we're finally there. What would you say to somebody who's like, maybe they're not at that realization yet, but they just know like, hey, I want my 2026 to be different. How do they stay the course in doing what you're saying?
I'll say one thing for sure. You just can't be swayed by feeling. Like, I will literally just say it out there. And I know sometimes that sounds very harsh, but it has to be one of the things, like, I don't feel like doing this and I'm still going to do it. There's another quote. I don't know who said it. I'm so sorry. I'm stealing your quotes and I'm not giving credit. But it was
all you
something,
have to say is like
somebody
it's been
once
said,
it's been said one day.
and there's
that
the credit.
Discipline is the idea of like telling your feelings that they are not lord over you. So even though you don't feel like going to the gym, you're still going. Even though you don't feel like being in your word, you're still going to be in your word. Even if you don't feel like going to church, you're still going to church. So you just can't let your feelings be the Lord of your life. Like, they need to be put under the submission of God all the time. And I think a lot of times we live in a culture where like, I feel this way. And it's like, well, yeah, you could totally feel that way. But you should still know right from wrong. And the right thing to do in the situation is to go and spend time with God. So
That's good.
Yeah, don't listen to your feelings. They lie to you anyways. So
yeah, that's a really good thought. And you just think about it from like a experience with God. Like if you were to look at it from like that, this is something we've talked about. Like you have this awesome moment with God in a service, and then you go home.
Yeah.
And then really, I would say the test is in what do you do when you go home?
Yeah.
Not in what happened in the service. Like, do you still live out what happened in the service? Like, are you just kind of like, back to home, I forgot about what happened here in this awesome moment with God. And I think that's where like the discipline comes in. And that's where like I'm going to stay the course. I'm going to continue to do the hard thing, even if that's not what I want to do, or that's countercultural, or if that's not what the people around me are doing. And I think that's what's been super inspiring about our people. Like the reason we do this podcast is not just to have, there's so many voices already out there, but it's really to speak to our people, our young adults in our community. And what's been so inspiring about you is this idea of like, I've seen people choose going to church over other options.
Yeah.
Like I've seen and heard stories of people leaving Disney early to come to service.
Yeah.
To, not go to this gathering because they wanted to be a part of service. And I think that's just something that God honors and that God blesses and that God's going to do some incredible things. And I'm just so like inspired by that.
Yeah.
Because you have two choices, right? You could stay doing what you were going to do, or you can choose the harder in that moment to say, I'm going to be faithful, and I'm going to discipline myself to know that this is where God has me, and this is where I need to be. And I'm going to show up and be present. And so I just been inspired lately just by Gen Z, what God's doing in our church, in our world, in our ministry. It's been really cool how they're attending church more than every other generation. They're showing up almost 2 times a month, which is crazy.
It's very cool.
And what's special about our ministry is we have a lot of people that are showing up on a weekly basis, which is beautiful. So I would say just not because we're like in charge of this whole thing, right? But it's really meant to be like, we want what's best for you. And what's best for you is like being in the house of God.
Yes.
Worshiping God, hearing from his word, being edified by the preaching of his word, getting prayed for, like having community, a God, like people who believe the same things as you can inspire you. So I would say those are just some things that have fired me up, but we need to continue to actually live it out. Even when February, March, gym equipment starts leaving the gym, we need to stay faithful in church. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to having you again. Like I said, my favorite podcaster. So
wow, that's a huge compliment.
So I hope that you're able to join me again.
We'll see.
Let me know what kind of check I need to write out to you in order. Just kidding. But thank you so much for being with us. Everybody give my wife a round of applause.
Amazing.
Thank you for just the wisdom that you dropped. And we are looking forward to another episode of the SIA podcast. Love you guys so much. And we'll see you next time.